Hi everybody, Sergeant Cellini here, previous Sergeant Cellini. Wanted to share some of my past experience when I was young, so I put my U.S. Army uniform on. When I was young, I grew up overseas and the Vietnam War was going on. When I was 17 years old, I dropped out of high school and joined the United States Army. I was a volunteer, served my country for 3 years, proud of it. And if my country ever needed me, I would serve again. I always tried to stay combat ready, keep myself in shape, and to this day I feel I'm still a soldier, always ready to go if I'm needed. Once a soldier, always a soldier. Now, in that time as a soldier for 3 years, I was very young, of course, still maturing, still learning about life. I learned a lot of life lessons in the military, and I wanted to share those with you. Now, everyone who joins the Army at that era starts off with a 3 month of basic combat training, regardless of what your MOS is. If you're going to go on into computers or communications, whatever your job title is going to be, everyone starts out with 3 months of basic combat training. You're a soldier first and foremost before you're anything else, so that you can serve your country in time of need, if necessary. After that, you'll go on to at least 3 months of advanced training. I stayed in the combat arms, so I went through 3 more months, but that 3 months especially, and that 6 months, is filled with a lot of mental and physical hardships that you learn to endure. And during that time, you learn a lot of lessons, believe me. In your day, we had a cadre in that time who were all Vietnam veterans. Vietnam was still going on. They had all at least served one tour in Vietnam. Those were our DIs, or our drill instructors, and they were hardcore and they show you no mercy. They're really tough on you, tough as nails. They got to turn you into combat troops in 3 months. Not an easy task. Your day begins every day at 5 a.m. and that cadre comes in with metal trash can lids and these little baseball bat type things, and they're banging them in your ears, and you got to jump up, get dressed as fast as you can. The first task of the day that you have to do, and it seemed kind of mundane at the time, now it makes a lot of sense, is you had to make your bunk. And as you looked around, you had either a lower or upper bunk. They were bunk beds, and to the left and the right you had another set, and right on down the line, when you looked across to the other side of the room, you had another line of bunk beds. And here you are, brand new there, from wherever you came from, around the nation, wherever you enlisted from, and you looked around and you saw every race, creed, color, ethnic background, every social diversity there, right? People from all over, right? And you're living in one place together. You're sleeping in one place together. You're all eating together. You hit the showers and shave together. You do all the little mundane things. You exercise together. You train together. You do everything together. A little awkward at first, but as you realize a week or two in, there is no difference. You're all the same. Everybody is working towards one common goal. You learn teamwork and you learn to get along, and we all got along. But we start that day by making that bunk, and that bunk had to be precise, and it was inspected every day by the drill sergeants. We had to have that blanket tight. You had to have 45-degree angles on your corners. That pillow had to be centered. The top of that blanket had to be folded down a certain distance, and you had no tool to measure that. You had no ruler, no measuring stick. You had to learn how to do it by eye and by experience. And most of the time, they would come along, they would take a coin, you had to have it tight, they would flip it in the air, and if it didn't bounce, it was not tight enough, they'd tear that bunk apart, you had to redo it over. Most of the time you failed, and you did it over, and you did it over, and you did it over, till you got it right. But like I said, it seemed a little mundane at the time, but now looking back, I realize the importance of that task, that simple task that you started, the first task you did of the day, and you did it with as much precision as you could, and you focused on it. You were in the moment. You were mindful of what you were doing. And once you accomplished that task, you moved on to your next task, and then your next task, and another task, and another task. By the end of the day, you had accomplished a lot of tasks. And like I said, training was tough, and you might have had a miserable day that day. But even if you had a miserable day, you got to return to a well-made bed, made up, that you made, and something you took pride in, that you accomplished. And you went to bed that night realizing that tomorrow, because you made that bed, tomorrow's going to be a better day. And I learned, maybe not at that time, might have been a little later, that by doing that one simple task, repeatedly every day and getting everything in accord for the day by accomplishing that one task. It was a mundane or small task, but it taught me that it's the little things in life that are huge. I always say small things are huge, but those little tasks are very important. And if you don't learn in life daily to do the little things properly, how are we going to do the big things properly? So, lesson in life there is start your day by making your bed. After you made your bed, you had about 30 minutes to go to the restroom, to shave, shower, have your uniform all tight and ready and together. And once you did that, you had to stand in inspection. And it had to be precise. You stood at attention, your hands had to be held a certain way, your feet a certain distance apart, straight ahead. Your uniform had to be in order, your belt a certain way, your spitz shine shoes, your hat brim had to be a certain amount of inches away from your forehead. Everything was precision. And I don't remember anybody ever passing inspection in basic training. You were set up to fail in a sense, because no one could reach perfection. And in life, many times we don't. But the lesson there was, don't give up. Strive each day for perfection. Again and again and again. Establish a routine till you cultivate yourself working towards that perfection. Even if you don't reach perfection, you're going to get eventually to a pretty high level. Another life's lesson it taught me there was that you are going to fail in life at times. There's going to be obstacles, challenges, and again, regardless of our gender, our age, our background socially, ethnically, whatever it is, we all have and face the same challenges, and we're all going to have failures in our life. But the key is to be persistent. Don't accept failure and to continue to try to achieve your goal every day in life. After inspection, we had PT, or physical training, for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what the day was and what we were going to do. And it was tough. And there's times you didn't think you were to get through it. And after a week or two, you realize with all the physical pain, endurance you have to go through physically, that it wasn't really a physical challenge, it was more of a mental challenge. So again, your state of mind and everything we do in life is huge. Your psychology, as I always mention, half glass empty, half glass full, your perspective on life, and you learn to see it as, well, this is a challenge, right? And I may not succeed or do 100% every day, but I'm going to give it my best. If you do that mentally, the mind is right, the body will follow, everything else will follow in life. Now, once PT was over, you went right to the mess hall for chow. Breakfast time. You get 3 square meals a day, and that's it. No snacks. So you got to eat well, you got to eat it all, and you get about 15 minutes to do that. So you've got to stay focused. You don't socialize, you don't sit around, you don't waste time. You learn time management right there. And you may get woken up if you get on the list, and this is going to occur, and everybody's going to go through it a couple times, and you get KP, kitchen police, or kitchen duty. And there's everything from the kitchen orderly to the person that's going to be back there washing all those giant pots and pans. And the lesson in life you learn there is that it doesn't matter what job you're doing, but you learn to do the job the very best you can and be the best. If you're going to be the dishwasher, the pots and pans man, you be the best pots and pans man you possibly can. Great lesson in life. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're sweeping up, be the best broom sweep. If you're building a building, make the best building. I have a real high metabolism, always hungry. I would burn through my food through the daily tasks, and we had a lot of physical activity that we did all day long, mental and physical, and I was always hungry. So I remember one time they had the little teeny boxes like we used to have when we were kids, little teeny boxes of cereal. So I grabbed an extra box. You grabbed what you wanted. You could eat 2, you could eat 3 if you wanted to, but you had that limited time. But I took an extra box, stuck it in my uniform, got back to my wall locker, and I put it up in there, saving it for reserves when I need it. The next day we had a spot inspection with our CO, our commanding officer. Came through, opened the wall locker, saw my box of cereal right away. I can't remember exactly what it was. Might have been Rice Krispies. He says, "Do you like Corn Flakes?" And I was like, "No, sir, I don't like Corn Flakes." He says, "What?" I says, "They're Rice Krispies, sir." That was a big mistake. Get your Rice Krispies, soldier. got my Rice Krispies, open them up, now eat them. Ate them dry, made a mess, had to clean that up later. What did I learn there? You play by the rules. Big lesson in life, play by the rules, everything goes right. Break the rules, you suffer the consequences. Another time I thought I would be slick and get away with breaking the rules. Again, we had to make that bunk tight as it could be. So we had a little break before our next event after chow there. So I came back, had a couple minutes. I think I had done a guard duty the night before. We had to walk around these brick buildings. Actually, it was called fire guard, and you had to do 2 or 4 hours at night, losing some of your sleep. Could be a 2 to 4 shift, 4 to 6, could be 12 to 2, whatever it might be. So you're a little bit tired. Sometimes you go to a little sleep deprivation, no big deal. So I got on my bunk very carefully and laid down, not to mess it up. I would tighten it when a minute later I was dead asleep. I woke up with my elbow, my chin, and my knee and my hip hitting the floor. The drill sergeant had come in, grabbed that bunk, flipped it over with me on it. I jumped up and delirious, didn't know where I was, realized what was going on. He was in my face, the brim of his hat right here, and he just said, "Get your bunk and get in formation." I had to remake it. Again, you learn, play by the rules. Now, as I said, we had a diversified group of people from all over. You did everything together. We did all our training together, all our exercise, everything together as a group. There was one exercise or one physical task that we had to do daily. Was we had 8-man teams on these really big logs. They were telephone poles cut up into logs. And you had to have a team by height. And the reason for the height is you had to come up to these heavy logs as a group with timing, learning teamwork, to work in cooperation together. Everybody lifts at the same time. Everybody hauls it up. Everybody has to lift it up overhead. It's heavy and it's tough. If you have a short person, tall person, you get an immediate imbalance, you can have a problem. So they do the teams by height, and I'm going to come back to that specificity in a moment. If and you've got to walk with these things, you got to run eventually with them. If one person gets out of cadence, out of step, not in timing with the group, the log goes down. If one person gives up, it weakens it, the log goes down. You got to start over. So again, life lesson there, learn to work with others, teamwork, and realize in accomplishing your goals in life, you're not going to always be able to do it by yourself. Reach out and get help from others, seek help from others. And on the other side of the coin, when this guy's having a tough time, encourage him. We can do it. You can do it. We can do it together. Encourage others to meet their goals with you. Now, we had an interesting group. They were Inuit from Alaska. And the tallest guy was probably maybe 5'3". They averaged from 5 to probably 5'3". 8-man team on a log. So you can imagine what that, boy, these poor guys are never going to make it. And that was a big lesson in life, because they outshined and outmoved and outran and outlifted everybody with that log. Little did we know, these were Inuit people. They learned to live off the land already. They learned to survive. They learned teamwork. They learned to work together. And they had mental toughness was the key. There was no way that physically they were going to get up. Lesson in life, don't judge a person by their appearance. Don't have a preconceived idea. Judge a person by their efforts, by their actions, and by the size of their heart. Now, I don't want to get too long-winded on this. I can go on all day about the lessons in life that I learned during my military career, just in those 3 to 6 months especially. But I want to go to the final 3 months of basic training, or the last day when it was graduation time. And not one of us failed. Everyone was going to graduate and become United States Army combat soldiers. We were all proud. We all had our dress uniforms on. There was a parade and a ceremony. And the bottom line is, again, just like when I first walked in and looked down the line at that barracks, but now I had brothers in arms, regardless of what their background was. We had a camaraderie. We were going to be brothers for life, and maybe have to defend one another's life, and we were ready to do that, what we call foxhole buddies. But again, the lesson in life was, when you look down that line with those brothers, they were from every background, ethnicity on the planet. We all got together, we learned to work together, we learned teamwork, we learned respect. Always respect others, regardless of what their background is in life, and realize that to accomplish goals, you get that teamwork, nobody can stop you, you can accomplish anything in life. Be well, everybody. Cellini out. Take care.